tribute to those who worked so vigorously in preparing for the trip abroad by the bandsmen, and also as a tribute to the bandsmen themselves, a brief outline of the event has been drawn up and is unveiled in this video. Upon receipt of an official invitation to attend the festival, the Edinburgh Committee was formed and went about the task of acquiring the necessary funds to send the band on the 3,500-mile jaunt. This they did in fine style, with the cooperation of everyone along the way to make it one of the more proud moments in the Lorne Scots memories of past years. Donations came in from all areas to offset the cost of the trip. After the vigorous campaign the Edinburgh Committee put forth, appearances on television, radio, and pictures in the newspapers all went into the task of getting together the necessary funds. Shown in this picture is one of the ceremonies at which financial aid was given. Included in the photo are two patrons to the Edinburgh Committee. They are Colonel Bartley Bull of Brampton and Major General Brock Chisholm of Victoria, BC, both former commanding officers in the regiment. Also shown are Captain D.W. Pallett, Pipe Major Joe Zellers, John Pallett, MP for Peel, and Bill Davis, MPP for Peel. For the bandsmen, it also meant many hours of hard work, as included in the itinerary of the trip was a list of 20 new tunes which had to be learned prior to leaving. This took some doing and kept the members busy as many as 4 times a week, practicing the many selections. Also, there was the job of vaccinations, passports, pictures for the passports, proper uniform changes, plus a dozen other jobs which all took time and kept the men busy a good part of the year before the takeoff in August. In this photo, 3 members are seen getting their uniforms ready for packing. In this other photo, the Canada badges which were added for the trip is checked by 2 members. The badges were worn as a part of the uniforms of the soldiers representing Canada, and they drew a note of distinction as the men paraded through the streets of Edinburgh. Prior to the flight takeoff from Malton Airport, a send-off was given at Brampton. The band paraded to Gage Park and was feted for its efforts in preparing for the trip. Brampton Mayor Carmen Corr, MP John Pallett, and Lieutenant Colonel Art Kemp, the regiment's commanding officer, all gave farewell speeches wishing the band much success. The bandsmen and their families were then loaded aboard buses and were transported to Malton, where the final farewells were given. The send-off at Malton Airport included a band formed by some of the members of the band who were not making the trip, as well as other bandsmen in the county who were out to say farewell. The flight over was a thrill for many of the men, as most had never flown before. The TCA Viscount landed at New York after the flight from Malton, and there they boarded a BOAC Britannia airliner. At 1:15 Friday, August 12th, the plane touched down at Prestwick Airport in Scotland, where a reception took place by officials of the Scottish Command. A bus took them to Edinburgh's Redford Barracks after they cleared through customs, and there Major Don Calendar welcomed the group as headed by Captain D.W. Pallett. It made the 7th time in the past 10 years that a Canadian band took part in the military tattoo. The band is pictured here as it rehearses for the tattoo. The shot is taken from one of the many balconies of the barracks as the band parades by on the parade square in front of the building. Rehearsals were carried out for a full week before the start of the show, which lasted for 3 weeks. A typical part of the preparation is shown when one morning during rehearsals, the bandsmen were called from their beds at 5:30 a.m. and were taken to Edinburgh Castle for a run-through of the complete show. Last-minute inspections showed a played brooch needed adjusting, and a piper is seen doing this for the band's drum major. The 2-story buses were used to transport the tattoo participants back and forth from the castle where the show took place to the barracks. A total of 29 performances were presented during the tattoo, which was the major part of the famed Edinburgh Festival. an annual event lasting 3 weeks and featuring everything in the entertainment field from ballet to extended trips through the city and surrounding district. Each performance of the tattoo attracted 7,000 people to the esplanade in front of the castle where the show was produced. This photo shows a part of the show in which the massed pipes and drums parade onto the esplanade and go through one of their stirring routines. The finale of the tattoo is pictured here with all the participants in the huge show involving pipers and drummers, dancers, brass bands, as well as precision drill squads out on the esplanade. In the massed pipes and drums, there were close to 500 massed together for the largest ever in the tattoo's history. Altogether, over 1,000 took part in presenting the show, which took 2 hours to complete. The Lorne Scots were honored in holding the position of honor as the middle file in the massed band's procession. Other bands which took part included the 2 battalions of the Scots Guards, the Argyll and Southern Highlanders, the Seaforths, the Camerons, the Cameronians, Scottish Rifles, and the bands from the regiments of the Brigades of Gurkhas from Malaya. Aside from taking part in the military tattoo at the castle, the band was honored a number of times in other phases as they joined together with other regimental bands to perform. A great honor in itself is shown in this photo, where the pipes and drums of the Lorne Scots joined forces with the pipes and drums of the Gurkha Regiment to parade down beautiful Princes Street in Edinburgh. Troops from the Brigade of Gurkhas and the Greek contingent also joined in the march down one of Scotland's most famous thoroughfares. A yearly event, which is staged by the overseas units taking part in the tattoo, is the wreath laying ceremony. This photo shows the ceremony as being performed by the Lorne Scots, Greeks, and Gurkhas. Lieutenant Colonel Art Kemp, commanding officer of the Lorne Scots Regiment, laid the wreath on behalf of the Canadian Regiment. The War Memorial is a large building within the castle grounds, which is dedicated as a national memorial, includes names of all those who have given their lives in doing battle for Britain. As a memento of the Lorne Scott part in the tattoo during 1960, Lieutenant Colonel Art Kemp is presented with a miniature replica of the castle. This took place following the wreath-laying ceremony at the castle, and the Greek contingent and the Brigade of Gurkhas were also presented with a miniature castle replica. A bus trip to the famed Invery Castle, home of the Duke of Argyll, was yet another highlight of the trip. Several officers of the regiment who also were in Britain at the time of the band's visit went along on the trip, which left on a Sunday and returned the following day. The band is shown parading in front of the castle. A tour through the castle, a look at the beautiful countryside, even though it rained all day, was followed by spending a night in Glasgow before the return trip to Edinburgh in time to prepare for Monday night's show at the castle. Sail the Clyde was what the band did on another days off. Along with members of the Gurkhas and Greek regiments, the Lorne Scots left Edinburgh by rail, where they boarded a steamer which took them on the trip. It was a wonderful journey and gave the band members a chance to get some beautiful sights of the marvelous countryside.